Shut up and sit down.
Welcome to the Big Blue Offensive Podcast with Mike Trainer, Jay Jules, and John Depot. Hey, what's up, Giants fam? Welcome to the Big Blue Offensive Podcast. I'm Mike. That's Jules. That's John. Guys, we got a defensive coordinator finally. I can't believe Patrick Graham decided to leave us and go to Vegas. But I guess, once you interview for a job of a head coach in your company and you don't get it, I guess it's like, maybe it's time to move on. But I'm pretty excited. We got Wink Martindale from the Ravens. The Ravens, they had top-notch defenses for the past 4 years. Well, not last year because of, say it with me now, injuries. But the 3 years before that, that defense was on point, but their injuries really depleted the defense the way the Giants' injuries depleted the Giants' offense last year. So I'm happy to get him, man. So get ready for all the fucking blitzing, man. I'm ready for it. I'm excited.
Well, real quick, because I decided, I'm still down in Florida. I'll probably be down in maybe one more week or two, but I want to give a quick shout out to this local brewery here in Jupiter, Florida called Civil Society. If you're ever in the Abacoa area of Jupiter, I definitely recommend you stop in. It's really cool. Cheers, Mike. All right.
Yes.
I'm going to pour this into a little bit of a glass because it'll be a little big to drink out of this one. I believe this is their 32-ounce growler that they let you take home in a can that you crack open. This is a little 32-ounce. All right. And this is their, they have a lot of IPAs. So they're definitely for the IPAs. This is what they call their yacht mode, about 10.5%. But anyway.
I feel like a bitch. I'm drinking seltzer.
Yeah. Cheers, right? But seriously now, I had a little interesting theory on Pat Graham, and I just wanted to throw this in there because honestly, I didn't see this hit any kind of airwaves or tweets or anything else. And my theory was that I almost feel that the Giants, they had no qualms with Pat Graham, right? They liked him. He did a good job. Maybe it wasn't the greatest job, but it was still good. And considering what he had to deal with Judge and that offense and everything else that was involved, I guess his defense wasn't terrible, but again, it wasn't great, right? And it was sort of middle average type of defense. And on the other hand, they're bringing in Dable, they're bringing in all these changes, they're changing the entire regime, and they want their guys in there. I think it was sort of like, look, if this dude can find another job, and I know the whole head coaching thing was what we were kind of focusing on about a week or two ago, where we thought Pat Graham might be a head coach somewhere. But I think it came down to where it just said, look, man, if you find another job, take it. You know what I mean? But if you can't find another job on a defensive coordinator level or higher, then we'll take you back. And at least you can be with us for another year, and we'll see what the market looks like next season. And, I think that's what it was. It was like a polite way of saying, look, we don't want to fire you, but...
Yeah, but it sucks. If he went to get a head coaching job, we would have got like 2 extra third-round picks, right?
That would have, 2 extra. I think it would have been one more this year and then one more the following season based off of production or something.
Oh, really? That's how it works?
Don't quote me on that part. I know it definitely would have been one this year, and I'm pretty sure the other one was next year. But again,
and we don't get shit. We don't get shit now.
Yeah, now we don't get shit. But listen, we saved the embarrassment of him being fired. He left. He went to get hired. The whole relationship with him and Josh McDaniels. Like, I think that's just fabricated nonsense, just to sort of feed the media and make it seem like it was just like, oh yeah, he just wanted to go work over there in Vegas for whatever reason. Don't know.
Who would want to go there?
Yeah, right.
Maybe Patrick Graham got it like a gambling problem. He's like, hey, home sweet home. Let's go to Vegas.
Very possible. He's super smart. Like he's an Ivy League guy, so
he's Rain Man.
Movie 21.
Yeah, right.
He's good at counting cards.
He's fucking Rain Man. He's fucking Dustin Hoffman.
He's banned from all the casinos for fucking counting cards and shit. I'm like, yeah, I can't go to the Palms anymore. I'm still good at Harris though. If you want to pop over there.
Or he's Zach Galifianakis when he fucking went.
That's exactly what possible I had.
Oh man!
But just a couple things about Winky Martindale over there. Listen, it's gonna be so hard for me not to just refer to him as Coach Wink, because I mean that's just a great name, right?
Coach Wink.
That's what he goes by, right? Wink.
He was with the Ravens organization for a number of years, but became the DC in 2018. And from 2018 to 2020, over those 3 seasons, his defense was in the top 5. You can go look that up. Baltimore's defense was in the top 5. He had a bad year in 2021. That's literally it. This man was on that thing. I guess if he didn't have this bad of a year, he probably would have been one of the top coaches for a head coach position, probably.
Very possible.
Whatever happened, injuries, whatever the case is. Look, it could be a quiet type of score for the Giants that we ended up with this guy as our defensive coordinator. Because if he could just bring us to the top 10, oh my God, look out. You know what I mean? Like that's just phenomenal. So that's where we are with that, for sure.
I mean, I like the hire for sure. I even wasn't against it going into the Joe Judge hire because he was a candidate. I knew he was, he ran a really, really good defense in Baltimore. So I figured, if he could bring that to New York, that's kind of New York's identity. So I was excited about him then. Then we hired Joe Judge, obviously, and I fell in love with Judge like everybody else, most everybody else. But it could be one of those situations where just, one man's trash is another man's treasure, and it just lines up kind of perfectly where, we get a good defensive coordinator in here to, bring this team back to respectability in the defense. But where I was going was, I don't know that from going from Jason Garrett and Joe Judge's offensive philosophy to Brian Dable's, I think is a much bigger impact on the team than going from Patrick Graham to Wing Martindale. I think there's an increase, but I don't know that it's like huge. I think it's just like maybe, a little bit more kind of hitting the gas pedal more than Patrick Graham would.
It'll be more man coverage. It'll be more man
Definitely
coverage.
More man coverage, more blitzes. It's just a way more aggressive style of defense. But, when the Giants defense plays well, they're one of the good defenses in the NFL. So like I said, it's not like going from number 32 ranked offense to potentially, maybe the 12th ranked offense. It's not a dramatic thing like that. I don't think it'll be. But I think it's still something to be excited about as a Giants fan. And realistically speaking, he's probably going to be here for a couple of years. Unless the Giants defense goes out and has a monster year this year, he's probably going to be with us for a couple of years, which fuck it. If that means we have to get another DC in 2023 because our defense just went off and got fucking our defensive coordinator job, God fucking bless.
Or promote because they're going to hire like Rob Ryan now and Brian Cox. So that's going to be on the defensive staff. So that's pretty crazy, man. Especially the whole dynamic with like Rex Ryan. Remember he called fucking Jones, like he didn't really see, he said Jones kind of sucks. So now his brother's going to be working on the defensive side of the ball. Like toughen Daniel Jones up, Ryans. Do what you got to do.
For real, dude. And look, you know what? The one thing that I guess I got on top of my soapbox, so to speak, was I kept crying about the lack of blitzing, the lack of taking chances on defense, to just play back off, sort of zone coverage.
Yeah.
Well, I guess I got my wish, right? So, I'm either going to be eating a lot of crow this coming season, or it's going to be us moving in that right direction. And listen, realistically, I know it's February. I know we haven't had the draft. I know there hasn't been one free agent inked yet. Well, outside of some of these practice squad guys and guys that'll be like real deep backups. But listen, man, realistically, I'm and I kind of said this last season, but again, I really feel firm on this. I see anywhere between 7, 8 wins, maybe 9, right? And anything more than that is just tremendous. Anything less than 7, maybe 6. Anything less than that is just a fail, in my opinion. But I do see the Giants somewhere around 7, 8 wins going into this season already. That's just way early, probably way too early of a prediction, but that's where I feel at this moment.
Let's hope so. Well,
I just feel it's the right thing though with these hirings, with Wink and Dable and Dable getting his offensive coordinator. Well, maybe not his offense coordinator, but an offense coordinator coming from that Kansas City offense. It's just a lot of things feeling and moving in different directions. Where I felt like when we came in with the whole Judge, and his team, you had all these ex-head coaches. And it was like, but here we are bringing this special teams coach in.
It's like a mix and match.
He doesn't have any experience really. And he's bringing in all these guys that have experience. You know what I mean? And sometimes that works and other times it doesn't. It's just too many different ideas going on. I just like the direction of what we're coming here, where Dable's building a lot more, with the exception of maybe Wink, but young guys that are hungry, that all want an HC job somewhere later down the line. And when you got that kind of vibe going, these guys are hungry, man. They want their offense to be the best. Kafka wants the best offense in the league. Wink would want one of the top defenses in the league. These guys are hungry for that.
I thought the Giants were supposed to be a terrible destination for people that wanted to come here. That's
they say that every fucking offseason.
I think Cowboy fans and Cowboy fans say
that narrative have proved wrong.
Every year it is. No free agents want to come here, then they go and sign fucking Galladay and this one, and that one. Same thing with the coaches. We got the probably leading prospect, NFL coaching, offensive coaching prospect in the NFL to come up with us. The leading probably GM candidate to come to New York.
Yeah.
Now you probably got one of the better defensive coordinators to come out here. We got somebody from the Eagles front office who was supposed to be a desired guy that Bobby
Brown.
Yeah, Bobby Brown, whatever his name. Yeah, I can't remember his name. But and then you got Mike Kafka from the Chiefs. You got like the up and comers from all the best franchises in the NFL.
Seems like
you know, and for a place no one wants to go to, I don't know how they did that.
Listen, you know what? You know, when you see people winning and that they're coming from a decent sort of background in the sense that they're, you know, a lot of these guys are coming in from Buffalo. Look at how Buffalo turned around, man. Teams like that. They jump on that type of thing. They want that exposure. They're like, Kyle, if we could be the next Buffalo as far as the turnaround is concerned, right? Because let's face it, Giants have been worse than where Buffalo was a few seasons back. And all of a sudden, this Giants team turns around. What's going to be the talk of the town? And it's going to be talking to the NFL. Everybody's going to want to be, you know, oh my God, the Giants did this, the Giants did that. Look at how they turned this around. Look how they turned that around. So it's a great opportunity from that aspect.
I tell you, I like Brandon Brown being like the assistant general manager now. To like what he did, like in Philadelphia, like you know, like being like one of the the top scouts there to like really like go into the personnel, and he grabbed some like good players, man. And I think he got credited with that left tackle in the seventh round. Yeah, like all of a sudden, like he's like all of a sudden, like he could be their left tackle for the next 10 years. So I'm glad they stole him from Philly, because I was sick of seeing like these guys come out of Philly like in the trenches. Like, why are they so good in the trenches, man? It seems like that's his like specialty in a way. So hey, listen, man, like keep grabbing these guys. The more the merrier over here, man. We'll take anything. We got to fix this mess.
And listen, and some of that might be fixed through certain things like the draft. And of course, there's some prospects. So I know, it felt like a lag of football this past weekend, but we did have the Senior Bowl. And I don't know about you two guys, and I know I didn't do as much promoting Florida as I did last season. But this season, I actually sat down and watched a good portion of it. And a few things surprised me. There was definitely some guys that stood out that I wasn't, focusing on as far as my attention was concerned. And then other guys that I always had like a little bit of a feeling for, like Kenny Pickett, for example, who, by the way, just went 6 for 6 for, 89 yards and a touchdown. Just throwing that out there, right? When everybody wants to talk about who's that other quarterback out of what was it, Liberty or some nonsense like that, the Malik or something like that, bro. The craziness here with this comparison is that Malik apparently had this great week of practice, right? And I saw like the main clip that they kept showing over and over and over again. Guys, it was like a simple bootleg, and all that really means, and it was like a bootleg to his his non-throwing side, so it meant that he rolled out to his left, right? And he throws a pass 20 yards. It wasn't even on the dime. It wasn't even a bullet. It was just an accurate pass to a receiver that was running a drag route. Bro, it was disgusting. Dude, I used to do that in high school regularly. On high school, like I could do that. I could probably still do that now. Throw some goddamn shoulder pads and a helmet on me. I'll go out and I'll run that little bootleg to the left-hand side. I think we called that 89 bootleg. And I'm pretty sure I could complete a pass to Mike dragging across the field 20 yards deep, right?
Nobody wants to see that.
Dude. Yo, let's do it, dude. We're going to video that shit and put it on YouTube.
Yeah, these are the same people who get hyped up about quarterbacks like this, and they just make one pass. The same people who keep OnlyFans as a huge company. They're their fucking customer base. Just, oh yeah, it's a great idea. Here we go. I subscribe.
Yeah, did you both watch that game? Because I watched like a little bit of the Senior Bowl, but there was one guy that the people were making like a big stink about, was that edge rusher from Minnesota, Boy.
Mm-hmm.
Oh.
I heard he had a pretty decent game. Like, when is he projected to go? Do you guys know what round he's projected to go in?
I almost feel like second, third. I feel like he's in that conversation currently, because the kid from Florida State, and I can't even think of his name right now, but Johnson or whatnot. I think his last name is Jermaine Johnson, something like that. The big edge rusher out of Florida State, who was initially projected to be a second round pick, and then he had a great Senior Bowl week and camp and everything else. I almost want to call it camp. I hate calling it practice, right? Because
it's stupid.
with the Twitter shit, and they're like, "Yo, Malik had a great practice," and I'm like, "Dude, really? Does everybody not remember Allen Iverson? We're talking about practice, like, dude. Practice? I can't help but have that in my head.
Practice?
Right now. Practice?
I mean, it's not even practice, bro. They're literally running by themselves.
Yeah, right.
There's not even a defender there.
No, it's stupid.
There's not even a skate team fucking throw it against air.
Yeah,
It's crazy.
you know,
Did
like
you
and
guys?
the rush comes, and the best was too when that bootleg that I was making fun of a little earlier. I watched it over and over again. Then I even watched like another clip because I swore like I was like, wait, maybe I missed something. Maybe he, like the snap was bad and he had to like make a move and the guy almost tackled him and then he ran out there and then he completed that pass. And I would have been like, all right, that's pretty impressive. No. It was fucking standard and clean. The snap was perfect. The fake was good. And he just rolled down and fucking threw a pass to his weak side. Like, really? Like, dude, if you can't do that, you should be playing in college, let alone the NFL.
Yeah,
Come on. Like, give me a fucking break.
that game's
And
weak, man.
of course, when you look at his numbers, he ran for like 56 yards or some nonsense on like 5 attempts or some bullshit. And it's like, dude, I get it. He's got an amazing talent in agility and running and being able to, run the ball. Great. That's fantastic. But in the NFL, you got to be able to throw, man. You know what I'm saying? Like, if you can't throw that fucking rock, you ain't winning games. The Josh Allens and the Pat Mahomes, they could run, but they could throw. Joe Burrow could throw. You know what I'm saying? Like, yo, you got to be like that if you're going to compete in this NFL.
Yeah, for real. Dude, I could barely watch that fucking game on TV. There was actually people on my feed that actually went to the Senior Bowl. I'm like, man, you are dedicated people to do that kind of shit. That's not me, man. I tell you that. Like, I could.
I tell you, listen, I did think about it though. If like that game, because it's like in Mobile,
it was close. Yeah.
Alabama. If it was in somewhere in Florida, like even Orlando, where it's about like I would have went. I would have been right there. Yeah, I'll drive the car. I'm driving up. You know what I mean?
Not if you got hopping on hopping on a plane going to Hickville. Fuck that, man.
Yeah, you know what I mean. Oh, and by the way, too, one thing I just wanted to throw in there. A guy who stood out to me, and he was a guy that was on my list. Look, one of the needs for the Giants is tight end. And here's a guy, he's a big body dude, 6'5", 244. He fits that kind of like big country boy, tight end frame. You know what I mean? And Jake Ferguson out of Wisconsin. Now, his numbers never blew you away. Like every kind of season, he averaged, in college, like between like 35, 40, 45 catches, 400 yards, 4 or 5 touchdowns. But again, Wisconsin isn't really known to throw to their tight end and have that style of an offense. They're a much more grounded out, and they'll throw to their split ends and type of approach. But the guy's got the size. He's got the look. He's decent. He put up numbers. I mean, look, on senior day, he led that Nationals team with 3 catches for 62 yards and a touchdown. I mean, look, you're out there competing with your peers on all these seniors. There's a lot of receivers out there and running backs and everything else, and you have the best numbers receiving wise for that day. Although I grant nobody plays all the game, I get all that. But he was a target, and here's a guy that's projected to go in the 4th round. Look, that's right where the Giants would be looking in that direction. We got 2 third-round picks. If this dude's sitting there in that 2nd, 3rd-round pick on that 3rd day, that's a guy that I would be more than happy with that we take for a depth at there.
Can he block?
That's what the thing is. He's more of a blocker than he is this athletic.
I prefer that. I prefer a guy like
exactly.
Even like Kittle, even guys like Kittle or Kelsey, they block. They're a good tight end. They could catch the ball, but I want a guy that could go in there and fucking help out the offensive line, help out the running game. I mean, that's what we desperately need. Obviously, Evan Ingram was a liability trying to block anybody. Let's be honest. Like he just continually miss, and it hurt the offensive line more than people think, without having a true tight end there.
Yeah, and old man Rudolph, like I predicted, was a shell of himself. He really was. He was hurt. He didn't get into that offense. Nothing actually worked in regards to him. And look, he's somewhat of a cap liability going into this season, Rudolph. He's like I think he's like a $5 million like cap expense, $4 or $5 million cap expense. We could cut him. You bring in like maybe some sort of like real cheap veteran tight end just in case, and then you go out and get some kid like this in later rounds. After we filled our some of our more major holes. That's where this kind of makes sense and is like a better fit. With a guy that could block, maybe he don't have blazing speed, right? I'm telling you that much. He ain't gonna run by you. I'll tell you that much. But the kid's got good hands. He could block. He has a nice frame. I mean, you know what? With the other supposed weapons that the Giants have on paper, it's not terrible. And it's just something that's why I would like something like that in that late 3rd round pick, early 4th round, like we have set up so far.
It's definitely a need. There's no telling if Evan Ingram's going to be back this year. I would say probably not likely that he'll be back. And if he is, like Mike said, he's not exactly a tremendous blocker. Every other team goes into a game with 5.5 offensive linemen, so to speak, on every single play. Tight ends play mostly every down, and they're reliable. The vast majority of them to just help, not to fucking take on fucking Aaron Donald by themselves or whoever's on the edge. Like that's not their job. But to be able to have an impact in the blocking game, both in passing, it's an important part of playing offensive football. And the Giants just haven't had that, unfortunately, at all. And you can take a mid-round pick and turn it into a guy who, I mean, he was making plays. I didn't watch a lot of the game, but I know he was a story coming out of it. That dude, he was making plays all over the place. He's like Jason Witten, like not the Evan Ingram. He's not like the Madden fucking created in a lab type of like, what would you want as a tight end? Okay, let's build him in a lab. He's not that, but he's a guy who somehow gets open, is reliable, makes plays, and what else could you possibly ask for out of your tight ends? You know what I mean? You don't need the superficial stuff. You need a good player.
That is all you need. I mean, keeping up with this topic. I mean, we're going with the Senior Bowl. We're going with guys that want to be drafted. Like Jules, you had a little thing you wanted us to do, like a little.
Oh yeah. Well, you know what it was, K2. I get crazy, especially at certain points in the day, whatever, or in the evening, right? And I'm sitting around, and all this football comes in. You go on Twitter or something, you start hearing all these people picking this, picking that. So I go on these draft simulators, which are fun, right? They don't take long. Yeah, it did like maybe 5 minutes or so.
Not even.
You could literally go through an entire NFL 7-round draft, right? And you just sit there and, like the computer simulates all these options where you can make trade backs, where you could pick these different players. They circle around the players where certain times like they're, different guys are available at number 5, let's say, for example. So I thought it'd be fun because so many people are now getting on this thing where, oh my God, if Kyle Hamilton's there at number 5, no way the Giants take him. I don't care what kind of a player he is, So
got to take him. It's crazy how I say Giants have to take Kyle Hamilton, especially now with Wink. Yeah, especially now with Wink Martindale, he's got the job. When they're playing, like especially with the corners now, they're going to play a lot more man, and they're going to play a lot more man press coverage. You need strong safety play, and I tell you, teaming Kyle Hamilton with fucking McKinney would be a dream for me. Listen, I'm a huge Notre Dame fan. You guys know that, and like I like Nelson coming out of Notre Dame, and I like Kyle Hamilton 100 times better than I like Nelson coming out. I'm telling you, this guy is a stud. If he's there at 5, which he's not going to be, I know that. The Giants probably would have to trade up to get him. I think the Jets are going to take Kyle Hamilton because he's a no-brainer. I would take Kyle Hamilton number 1. That's how sure I am that he's probably going to be the best player in this draft. I'm telling you.
I don't know about 1, dude. That's a high stretch. And listen, I get some of the argument there where a few people were like, look, taking a safety that high is almost like taking a running back that high. There's a tremendous amount of risk.
Okay.
You can find other guys. Winfield went to his 2nd straight Pro Bowl. He was the second safety taken off the board after McKinney was selected 2 years ago. Okay. And the only reason why McKinney Hatfield didn't make that Pro Bowl was because he didn't play every game.
He didn't play, right?
He didn't play every fucking game. It was ridiculous. And yet his numbers were almost still better. The only thing that Winfield had over him were like sacks and forced fumbles, which out of a safety is just like a fluke type of play type shit. But anyhow, with that said, it's just crazy how the kid from Oregon, the edge rusher Theox was, they were saying he was going to be number 1, he was going to be number 2, and now they're saying that the Giants might end up with him. To me, I think not taking him if he's at number 5 in the Jets and Houston and all those other guys pass on him is actually fucking insane because that's what we need. You got him, Wink. He loves the blitz. This kid should be a friggin' monster too.
If he slips, Jules, if he slips, it's because Kyle Hamilton went early. That's why he would slip, because Jacksonville had to take a tackle to protect Trevor, which
I think should.
Yeah, man. I mean, especially with Doug Peterson there, like he'll make that. I think he'll make that happen. I think he's probably going to be the one guy, but like, no, we need a guy like Evan Neal get drafted number 1.
And unfortunately, I forget who I was listening to on YouTube that brought up one of these mock drafts and was mentioning something along those lines. I said, look, you know what? Jacksonville's got to take a step back and look at themselves and say, look, we're not ready to compete with Pat Mahomes, Josh Allen, Kyle, Herbert, Burrow. They're not ready for that yet. They're not ready for that. So you're not going to go out and get a centerpiece defensive guy that might still take 4 or 5 years to build around Lawrence. You know what I'm saying? But if you get a left tackle that's going to block this kid so he doesn't have a shortened career and he can last in the NFL, you got to do it, man. Especially a kid that's Well, I forget the size of Neil. What is he, like 345, like
Monster.
6'7" or something? He's a beast,
Fucking
man. Like,
monster.
well, you ain't getting around that dude. It's like trying to get around a building. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, and he's tough,
know.
and he's quick, and he's agile. Like,
In the beginning, they were saying he was slipping to us, but now that's funny how that fucking narrative changed like real quick.
Listen,
It's
you
gonna
know
go
what?
back
I
and
don't
forth.
care. I looked at that
You-
initial draft and said, how do you not protect your franchise quarterback in a number 1 draft pick in Trevor Lawrence?
Yeah.
And get a piece like that to put on your offensive line. It's fucking mind-boggling that you would question that. You know what I mean?
I think what happens though with the mock drafts thing is just they go ahead and everybody will put their mock drafts out, and everybody will talk about it for a week or 2 or 3 or whatever it is, and then they get bored of seeing the same names at the top, so they start switching stuff around and switching stuff, and then the guys who started out as like the premier talent, you get bored of seeing their names, so they start slipping, and all of a sudden it's like, the NFL teams are making them slip, and it's not. It's just fucking the people who are sitting there in front of a computer all day trying to create a narrative. That's, they're just getting bored of seeing Evan Neal's name and fucking Thibodeau's name. That's why now all of a sudden it's like, oh, who cares about Thibodeau? He's going to be a 15th overall pick. Like, a pass rusher. I mean,
well, that's why, guys, I said with these computer simulations, we should all take a couple minutes because it shouldn't take us more than a combination of 3 minutes or 4 minutes or so to do it.
I'll do it.
Mike, you said you wanted to use what was the exact one you wanted to use?
The first one is like Pro Football Network. It literally took me like 30 seconds. So just click on that.
Oh, this is gonna be super quick.
Yeah, like because I'm not doing the whole first round. I'm just going.
No, we're only doing up to pick 7. And if somebody gets an amazing offer to trade either 5 or 7, we'll hang on for you to finish out that first round. But that's only gonna be an extra 5 seconds.
All right. Should I go should I go first, Jules?
You want to go first?
PFF or Pro Football Network?
Go first.
Pro Football Network, John. So you're on profootballnetwork.com.
You click on 7 rounds so that it keeps like the trade back possibility relevant.
Yeah.
All right.
Click
put
on
it on fast mode.
Right.
So
Click on
like you blink and you're gonna miss all the picks that literally just went by in 4 of them.
Yeah. Click on 7. Then you click on your team, the Giants, and then you say let's draft. And now it's already started. Holy shit! I'm already up. All
Let's
right.
go. Wait. Who went so far? Can you see that?
First pick, Evan Neal went. Then all of a sudden, Detroit went with George Karlaftis, the edge rusher from Purdue.
Oh man, you got a retarded one.
I know, I do. And Andrew Booth went like 3 to the Texans.
Oh god.
And then Thibodeau went like 4 to the Jets. So number 5, and guess what? I got Aiden Hutchinson or Kyle Hamilton. And you know who I'm taking? I'm taking my boy Kyle Hamilton right there.
Oh my God, you're insane! All right, just for the record, I would 1,000% go Hutchinson without a blink of an eye. Would even twice. If that shit came true, I would be fucking flying to Vegas and yelling at the Giants to take that dude. All right.
All right, but now I have a choice, Jules. This is tough because Carolina took the defensive tackle, DeMarvin Leo from Texas A&M. So now I could either take Aiden Hutchinson right now. Or I have 2 trade offers, one from the Cardinals, which they want pick 7. They would give me pick 23, 55, 87, and a 2023 second rounder. That's crazy. That's kind of appealing. But Atlanta will give me pick 8 and pick 74 in this draft just to move up one spot. So they're giving me pick 74. So I think they want Aiden.
Yeah, probably.
You know what I mean?
I wish they would have given you something a little juicier than pick 74.
All right,
because it would be more relevant to tonight's discussion. But in future podcasts and up and coming things, that might be something we got to mess around with. Because 74 was the beginning of the 3rd round, right? That's the 3rd round pick.
That's got to be like a early 3rd.
Early 3rd, right?
So now I want Aiden. I'm just gonna pick him, but for argument's sake, let me just make the trade, right, and see who Atlanta picks, right? Okay. So let me go here. Okay. And I don't know how do you accept this offer on this fucking shit?
Oh yeah.
Oh wait, no, I got it. I accepted it. And Jules, I was right. They took Aiden Hutchinson, so they wanted him.
And who's left now? So at this point, if you did go ahead with those trade, you have the 8th pick. I would assume now maybe there's some good offensive linemen out there still. You could go with some of the linebackers there and Lloyd and Dean.
Yeah, Kenyon Green, the offensive guard, he's still out there. Matt Corral, the QB that everybody's high on. Stingley from the cornerback from LSU which he's going to
He's
be a
dropped down,
star.
though. He's dropping down a little bit. He's going to have a strong combine in order to get his draft stock back up. There's another dude out there from Cincinnati that's actually kind of surpassed him slightly.
Yeah, my Gardner.
Drafted. Yep.
Then they got you got Cross, the offensive tackle. But now Detroit offered me a trade. They want to give me, for the 8th pick, they want to give me pick 32 and 34 and a 2023 first rounder. So, I mean, if Tyler Linderbaum's still there, like, I know they're not going to go that route. So I got to accept that.
All right,
And
so Mike accepts it. So you know what? Your Hutchinson went out the window. So right now, all you have is Hamilton as a Giants GM here, right?
Right.
Now you got two late picks here.
I got
you gotta make it.
I got
you gotta make them.
early 3rd rounders and a first next year for a kind of a rebuilding team. I got to accept it, even though I could take Tyler Linderbaum and make every Giant fan happy about him going number 8, but I'm not going to fucking accept it. So I'm going to accept the trade. And holy shit. Tyler Linderbaum went 26 in this fucking thing.
Right.
And now I'm at pick 32. And that's the very last pick of the first round. And I could get like Kenny Pickett's still there. Carson Strong's still there.
Carson Strong had a horrible Senior Bowl, dude. He was like 6 of 11, 50 yards and an interception with no TDs. Yeah, no, horrible.
Malik Willis is all there. So all these quarterbacks are going like real late. So that's it, man. That's my mock draft, which is pretty cool.
Oh,
I got a pretty wild setup here.
John, are you ready to go?
I already started mine just to kind of see how it plays out. So in mine, the Jaguars took Aiden Hutchinson, Lions took George Karlaftis, and then the Texans took Kayvon Thibodeau. So 1, 2, and 3 were all edge rushers. Then the Jets took Kyle Hamilton. So all the offensive linemen were still on the board for me. So I took Evan Neal. Then the Panthers took Kenyon Green, and I have 2 trade offers for the 7th overall pick. I could trade down with Cleveland and get the 44th pick, in addition to a 2nd round pick, and then next year's 4th. Or I could trade down with the Chargers, go to 17. That's too far for me. I'm not even going to bother with that. I don't even want to go to 13, but I'm going to do it. I accept this offer. So what do we have here? Whoa. Oh no. Why did it do that? If you press refresh, it starts the entire thing over. I just wanted to pull.
All right, so you know what? That's even better. Do it over again, all right? Because that one you were kind of messing around with when Mike was doing his. So here is your official February 2022 draft simulation, all right? For the first 2 picks, 5 and 7.
I tell you, going back to me real quick, guys, before you go, like the 30, right now after that trade, I got the 32, which is the very last pick of the first round. Then I got 34 and 36 right in the 2nd round, like the first basically 2 picks after that trade. Yeah, I should be a GM, man. This shit is fucking awesome. I'm gonna be doing this fucking all night now. Fuck.
See, I know this shit gets man addicted. You're on the couch, you're watching TV, drinking a beer. You're like, yo, let me just see what happens. And all of a sudden you start getting into it. You're like, wait, if I was the GM, this is what I would do.
Going down a rabbit hole.
John, are you ready or should I jump in?
Yeah, sure. Absolutely. Let's do it.
All right, let's do this. All right, so I'm going to start mine up here, right?
Oh,
and I saw already.
Going.
What's that?
I got mine started here.
All right, do it. Go ahead.
All right, so Jaguars take Evan Neal. Lions take Kayvon Thibodeau. Then Kyle Hamilton goes, and then Andrew Booth goes to the Jets. So I can go Aiden Hutchinson here. That's a no-brainer. I didn't even get a trade offer.
Wow.
Oh man, they want to talk to you anymore.
Yeah. So then Kenyon Green goes to the Panthers, and I do have 3 trade offers. One's with Dallas. Fuck Dallas, as they always say. So that's for the 24th pick.
They're offering you a lot. Take advantage of that nonsense, you know.
They give us their 2nd round pick this year, next year, and a 4th next year. But that goes from 7 to 24. That's basically half the league in between, and I'm not about that.
That's a huge drop.
Yeah. Then the Chargers are back here again with trading down to 17. I also get their 2nd round pick this year, and then their 4th next year. And then the Raiders are offering the 22nd pick, their 2nd round pick, their 3rd round pick, their 4th round pick, and then 2022's next 2nd round pick. Wow, that's a lot.
That is a lot. Yo, Giants
To
are
go
gonna get
back
some
15
offers, man.
places.
They're gonna get some serious offers, and apparently,
Wow,
and that's
that's a
another reason
lot.
why this kind of came into my mind. I was talking about apparently during the Senior Bowl, Shane and had his representatives down there, and there was a lot of talks with a lot of the teams about possible trade back offers. So I mean, this is something that's real. This is something on the table. This was something that was sort of offered to Gettleman last season, yes, when he was down at the Senior Bowl. So this is a real thing. I heard showing on, I believe it was Giants Talk or Giants Wire. I believe it was Giants Wire. He, they interviewed him for a quick 10, 12-minute segment back during when he was, this past weekend on the Senior Bowl. And that was something that's been really a hot topic.
Wow.
So do not be surprised the Giants take who they got to take with that 5th pick. And that 7th pick, man, woof, it's going to be fun.
I just traded down with the Raiders and ended up getting with the first one is Aiden Hutchinson, and then my 22nd overall pick. I think his name is Ikem Ekwonu, the offensive tackle, that dude that everybody's talking about.
Oh, man.
That would be dream scenario, bro. Getting a
For real.
2nd, 3rd, 4th, and another 4th, trade down, still get one of the better offensive tackles in the nation, and what people are saying is one of the best edge rushers. That's a fucking first round right there.
John, that's not bad. That's impressive right there. I listen. If
it's
that
just
actually
fucking
came true,
you know.
because it won't, because I cannot see Hutchinson falling past Detroit. Being from the Michigan Wolverines, and like literally, like they could give him an Uber. They could Uber him to the Detroit facilities. You know what I'm saying? Like this kid don't even have to fly nowhere.
I mean,
just call him an Uber real quick.
Do we really think though that they're not going to want to try to? The GM isn't going to be all right, let's just kick a can again with Jared Goff, and then go for a quarterback the following year. I could see Detroit drafting a quarterback if they fall in love with one of these guys. It's still early. It's still the beginning of February. We haven't even celebrated Valentine's Day yet.
Fair.
One Super Bowl goes past, and they're like,
people are going to fall in love with quarterbacks. I have to agree with you there.
Not that early. These guys.
Not now. Yeah, Valentine's Day got to pass first, and then maybe they can send out some chocolate and flowers to these quarterbacks. But then they're going to
everybody knows these.
Josh Rosen, Sam Darnold.
Everybody knows these quarterbacks are garbage. Everybody knows. Everybody knows these quarterbacks are trash.
There's always one that comes from these kind of classes that always surprises. Yeah, go through history and you'll see that, this is a weak quarterback class. This quarterback class is going to suck. Because if you even wanted to talk about the Trubisky and the Wentz class, right? And that was supposed to be a halfway decent one, but it wasn't a strong one. Bro, those guys haven't done shit, but yet they were still gone in the top 5. I mean, come on. And the reason why that class gets brought up, because if I'm not mistaken, that was the Mahomes one, right? If I'm pretty sure, right?
Deshaun Watson.
So, you know what I mean? There's always quarterbacks that emerge, especially when you start sleeping on a position. That's a fact. I don't care when anybody says, anytime you hear the NFL draft coming, and this is a weak quarterback draft. This is a weak running back draft. Yo, those guys, they hear it too. It's not like they're in a closed room that's soundproof and they don't hear these kind of things, all right? Here's a guy that's going to get drafted in the 1st, 2nd round. He's got a chip on his shoulder. He's going to come into the league. And, some of them are better than what they are, what they seem on paper. And they emerge and they take that next step. So I guarantee you that this may not be a strong class where we're talking an Eli Ben Roethlisberger, Phillip Rivers type of class. But I guarantee you one of these dudes has a really good NFL career. I'm not going to say he's going to be a Super Bowl Hall of Famer, but I guarantee you that you'll see one of these guys emerge has a pretty good year. And with that said, I'm gonna enter into my draft room, and the Chargers are coming at me with some picks like the 17, 48. You're too far, bro. I'm gonna just reject you. Ravens want to give me a 14. If I can't double up in that first 10, I don't want to talk to you. That's just how I'm thinking as a GM here, okay? And look, baby, let me tell you. So I got a tougher one, all right? And I say tougher one because both my boy Kayvon from Oregon has been taken, Hamilton's been taken, Aiden Hutchinson's been taken, and now the hot corner and Andrew Booth has been taken so far. So now when I go to my player pool, I have Neil. I have Carl Liftis, Singletary's out there. I have some guys. In all honesty, if this is the case and I'm the GM here and I know that I can solidify that bookend type of offensive line and Neil actually fell to me at 5, to me, guys, it's a no-brainer. You know what I mean? I'm drafting Evan Neal here and moving on. All right, Saints came at me with something. I don't like it. Interesting here where, San Diego's still trying to the Chargers still trying to come at me with the 17th pick. Now I'm going to pass 23rd. I passed on everybody. I'm greedy. I want my guys right up top. And here's where things get interesting. Because yes, you have the kid Karalfatis from Purdue, and he's a good edge rusher. But you know what? Like I already got, and I'm in love with Linderbaum. But I went on, and I've been on the saying you could look at the past 17 times that an NFL team has had 2 picks in the top 10, and never once has any of those teams in those 17 times taken 2 offensive linemen with those picks.
Right, exactly.
They've taken 2 defensive players, they've taken 2 offensive players, right? But never has it been of the offensive line. And I know by doing these sort of simulations and seeing some guys being drafted, what their draft projections are, there's going to be some really good talent on that offensive line. I love Linderbaum. I mean, bro, he's literally gotten like notoriety for slamming Tristan Wirfs on the ground as a wrestler.
It's wrestling.
Right?
Come on. It's wrestling, Jules.
It was going to fall to me, bro. Like if I
wrestling.
was in your predicament where I would have gotten either Hutchinson or my boy from Oregon, without a doubt, bro, I've then taken Linderbaum on my pick. I don't give a shit. I love that.
What number?
Kid, right?
What number?
7. We're at 7 right
7.
now.
Okay.
But with
That's
all
great.
that said, man, and
Got
in all
trade back.
honesty, there's going to be, and I know you guys might want to dispute this with me, but don't be surprised if this happens. There's a chance that we do not keep Blake Martinez. All right. He is going to count against the cap like 13, 14 million this coming season. Don't hold me to that exact number, but I'm pretty much in the right ballpark where it's going to just have an additional dead cap of about 15 or 16. It's not going to be that much of a difference. And if we're looking at free cap, and that's what Shane's been coming in and saying, and we can put about 13 million with only an extra dead of 3 or 4. Man, if he's coming off of injury, he might be gone. This is where this becomes tough. And that's where it leads me to believe that we're going to have a chance to get either Devin Lloyd or Nakobe Dean out of Georgia. And these 2 kids can ball, man. And I think the truth is the only reason why Devin Lloyd isn't higher on the list and had to play out in Utah is because the kid hates school, man. All right. He plays football. That's what he does. All right. He's a little crazy for taking that chance because God forbid something would happen to him. But that's what he does, man. The dude plays football. He failed. And believe it or not, I have sources like double check this type of fact. He's academically ineligible for certain things, and that's what's brought him down in stock a little bit. He didn't do great in math, he didn't do great in reading or some other source. Like, he don't care. He plays football. Idiot. That's what the man does. He just don't give a fuck about academics. He's not going to be some academic scholar. He's not doing that shit. But the boy could play football. And in all honesty, it might be slightly a bit of a reach. But, I think because we passed on Micah Parsons already early on last year, I see a lot of this from the same dude, and here we go. And he can replace Blake Martinez, and he's a day 1 starter. I'm going Devin Lloyd out of Utah.
Wow.
So, man, I just put a fucking big boy tackle, and I got us a linebacker for the future. I'm ready to roll. We're going to write that down. We're going to bring you some picks again later on as we get closer to the draft. But for now, what do you think, Mike? We take a quick commercial break. We come back. We got some more bowl talking, the Super Bowl. We got Kamara. We got a few other things we got to talk about.
Absolutely, man. We'll take a quick commercial break on the BBO NYG podcast. We'll be right back. All right, guys, we are back with the BBO NYG podcast. We just did some mock drafts. Hopefully you stayed with us and listened to that. I know people are probably like, these fucking mock drafts. I'm sick of all of it. But I'm telling you, man, I just went down the rabbit hole. I'm going to be doing this shit for the whole fucking week probably now. Like, and now I'm hooked on it. Now I'm fucking hooked on it. But Jules, it really is, dude. Like, I mean, you got to, like, I'm looking at my team. I drafted the whole 7 rounds. I mean, man, I got some good fucking players, but maybe we'll save that for another day. But what other topics we got going on, Jules?
Well, listen, leading into, one thing I just wanted to kind of like touch on really fast, and I don't really want to spend an entire time on it, but there was something that I just wanted to sort of get off my chest, right? The whole issue of Flores and how it was the hot button topic. It was all over, all TV and all the morning shows, and every commentator had their opinion all over social media. Everybody wanted to talk about this hot button, blah, blah, blah. It's going crazy. Oh my God. And then the truth starts to come out. And then it starts to seem like that Flores, maybe got a little ahead of himself, right? Because, he would probably be the head coach of the Texans today had he not opened his mouth, right? And it's just such nonsense. And the thing that I really just wanted to sort of get off my chest and something I wanted to say publicly, and it was something I said to a lot of people on Twitter, that I said, look, tune in next week, and I promise you I'm going to give you some reasoning behind this whole Rooney Rule thing. All right, I've even been talking to people around here in Florida mentioning it. Every time it was like, whoa, what really? Anytime there's a problem, whether it be with society or class or race or whatever, it doesn't matter, right? The only way, and you could even think of when you go to a garden, right? If you're going to pull out weeds and you just whack the weeds off the top, they're going to still continue to grow, right? And in other words, where I'm going with that analogy is that when it comes to the NFL, they're approaching this when it's way too late in the game. Just making these rules like the Rooney Rule, which was helpful. It helped. Like I mentioned prior times, it's not the 1980s no more. It's not the 70s no more. There's not that sort of racist kind of bond that you see within the NFL that may have once occurred. There's still some of it, I'm sure, but it's not as obvious as it may have once been. You got to go to the root of things. You got to go to where it starts and fix it there so that when you now replant something, it can grow in a different fashion. And what I mean is that if one of the biggest things that is spoken about with the Rooney Rule is that the majority of players happen to be from, Black descent, right? And that, that's where 70% of the league's players are. Well, if that's the case, that means these guys are coming out of college, and that's 70% in the NFL. So that must be 70% in the Canadian League or in some of these arena leagues, all in theory. So a lot of these kids are coming out of college and immediately they have a chance to go professional and keep playing football. Whereas some of these other guys that they went to school with, right? And you'll see these guys, they don't have the talent to continue on. They can't make it to that next level on arena or the USFL, which is coming out in this spring, right? Or Canada. So what they do is they intern in the college that they're in and they go into coaching. Right. And now you got a kid that's coming straight out of college at 22 years old, didn't have the talent. We already know that the majority now has to be either, from a white background or some sort of background, because the majority are playing professionally. So these guys have the same passion, the same love of the sport, and they go in and they start coaching. Right. And now all of a sudden, some of these guys don't work out. Maybe, they play 4 or 5 years in the USFL or the Arena League or the XFL. They played 3-4 seasons, didn't work out. Now they go into coaching. Right. Well, guess what? These other guys have a 5, 6, 7 year head start on them. And now when you sit down and you look at a resume, I don't care where you are, what field that you're applying for. But when you look at one versus the other and the candidates are both strong and they both have a lot of potential, you have to sit there and say, well, this guy's been doing it for 8 years. You've been doing it for 4. And what do you think is going to get hired? No black and white, no colors involved, no races involved. It's experience. It's saying that this dude's been doing it longer and he's been doing the same kind of job. So of course the guy doing it longer is going to get the job. To me, what this needs to be looked at is they got to go to the colleges. And if you could sit there and tell me that these guys have been discriminated against and they're not getting the same kind of internships that maybe a white guy is getting and they're getting passed over in that aspect, well, then there's your problem. And there's where the root starts. And that's where maybe some opportunities to be created. But if it's more along the lines of what I think here, where a lot of these guys are just going out and they continue to play ball because they're a little more talented, well, then where are you going to fault it? You can't sit there and look at a pool of people. And if the majority of that pool happens to be one particular, way of look the same, what are you going to do? There's a majority of these guys, 40 guys to pick from versus 5. And that's not just because, that's just the NFL and they're blocking them. No, it would have to start at college where all these guys like Kevin Kafka, you look at him, he was an intern in college, then he went into coaching, straight out of college into coaching. There's a number of guys, Dable did the same thing. And, straight out of college, went into coaching. Like that's what happens. These guys want to be career coaches. So if you're telling me that these opportunities aren't the same for minorities at that starting point, well, then there's your root of problem. And that's what needs to be fixed. And these colleges need to create more internships for minorities in the coaching field. And then that would then create more candidates, and that would then create more probability of having more people out there that are eligible candidates to be hired. And it would stop with this nonsense. It would stop forcing teams to interview these minority bullshit. All that is garbage to me, all right? The best man should get the job. I don't give a fuck what you look like, where you come from, bro. It's ridiculous. And that was my take, and I wanted to make sure I got that point across, and maybe I made some knowledge, and who knows, if anybody listens and they want to hear that, I will go into that in more detail, but that's my take on it.
It's a good point.
No, and I know I took a little bit.
John, you got anything to say, John?
On that, but, I just had to get deep for a moment.
All right, Jules.
I just can't wait for this whole window of coaching stuff to close so they stop talking about the shit.
I agree. I agree. I hate that. I think I covered that topic.
I mean, listen, I didn't speak on it. It's a little weird to me. Like, all right, so you got two prime black candidates that were going to head coach jobs. It's Bieniemy and Brian Flores. Brian Flores is the boy who cried wolf. He went out there, he put that lawsuit on. Like, what kind of company are you going to sue and then all of a sudden going to work for? That just does not make any sense. You kind of you blew your chance, man, because I wanted you as a coach. You fucking blew it. Bieniemy, he has a pretty bad history and he doesn't interview well. That has come out to the fact that he's just like, I don't think he's like a superior talent, especially when you got guys that he's coaching as Mahomes and Kelsey and Tyreek Hill. I think they cover up for a lot of his stuff because when they call plays, Mahomes scrambles a lot and he makes the plays on his own. So is that really Bieniemy calling a great play?
And don't forget, Andy Reid was always
it's
known as
Andy
an offensive
Reid's
mind,
offense.
and it's his offense. Yeah, exactly.
It's Andy Reid's offense. So like, let's kind of like, get off of that fact. And sure, it's 70%, African American players in the NFL. I mean, are we going to sit here? Let's just reverse it. Are we going to sit here during the NFL drafts? Are we going to be like, hey, you know what? We need more white people. We need more Asians, or we need more Spanish in the NFL. So let's forget about drafting the best player available in these simulator mock drafts. Let's just go with a different race because we need to include everybody. Let's just fucking stop the fucking madness with that kind of shit. I don't go looking at a draft and like, oh, I need this white guy here drafted here. I need this guy drafted here just to make fucking like everybody happy. Let's stop trying to appease everybody. There's only 32 teams in the NFL. If you're hired because you think you're the right guy for that team, so be it. Let that just play out. So be it. Like Jules, you made an excellent point with like going up from like, listen, if you don't have the play, if you can't play no longer and you want to get into coaching and that's how you develop that and being a coach, that's fine. Let that happen that way. Stop looking at color with everything. You think people look at the NBA and demand more white people, playing basketball in the NBA? Like, let's stop all the color. Like, what more do you want? You're gonna force black coaches in the NFL, like, just to be head coaches? It doesn't make any sense in that regard. And staying with this topic, like, people wanted to demand like more black owners in the NFL. Hey, shit, I want to be an owner in the NFL. Maybe there's just a small margin, like a 1%, not even, that can actually afford to own an NFL team or be part of a group that owns an NFL team. Like, maybe a lot of people don't have the money to be that way. So stop bitching, like, to have like black ownership. Like, these fucking owners, like, most of them were fucking like born into families with fucking money. Like, we weren't so fucking lucky. Don't look at the color. Just look at the people that weren't so lucky to be born in that kind of family.
Yeah. I mean, think about it like this, though. Even if you weren't born into money and you just accumulated wealth, even if you whatever this you won $1 billion lottery, that regardless, there's only 32 teams, and most of the teams are never ever going to be for sale ever.
Never.
It's not like you can just go to the store and fucking buy an NFL team. Like, that's just not how it works. Right. They're rarely did the
team.
You
can't get that shit at Walmart.
Right. That's what I'm saying. It's like rarely ever does a team come for sale anyway. So it's more happenstance that it just listen. It sucks. It's the history of America is not exactly butterflies and rainbows, but
a lot of poison
when NFL started. Yeah, when NFL started, it's that's just.
It's the history of capitalism.
100 years ago, it is what it is. But the one thing that bothers me, like Mike, you said something that just reminded me of something that I was thinking about the other day, and that's this notion that because the NFL is like 72 or 73% black players, means that there should be more black coaches. But the thing is,
doesn't make sense.
Last time I checked, it's two completely separate jobs with two completely different skill sets.
That's fair.
So why does one have to do with the other?
Exactly.
Like, just because I'm a good waiter doesn't make me a good chef. Just because I can engineer a car doesn't mean I'm a good race car driver.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
None of that stuff applies. Maybe it's just a different type of person that, it works more for. And one thing that may be a little controversial, I don't know, we are the Big Blue Offensive podcast. I don't mean to offend anybody by saying this, but what if there's a correlation with having, a father in the home and that growing you as a man to be a little bit more of a leader and more of like the person who becomes a teacher of some kind and a professor or whatever. I don't know. But I'm thinking, the one big thing that's talked about inside, the Black community, you hear a lot is, the fatherless homes and single parent homes and stuff like that. I wonder if there's a correlation to that, where if they say 40-something% of Black men grow up without a father figure, like having a dad in your house, like having like not just like a father, but like a dad, like to like how to be a man. I think that correlates to something like coaching, especially on this high of a level. So maybe there's a correlation there. It's just limited. And sure, probably there's a very small peppering of one guy getting a job over another guy just because, I'd rather have the guy that looks like me. I'm sure, especially go back 20, 30 years, that was a bigger thing than it is. But that it just bothers me. Only 3% Black players, only, however many percent coaches. It's like, it's two separate jobs entirely. And it's crazy to say that. It's just you trying to like create this narrative and just pull the wool over people's eyes because they're not thinking through your statement. But you're not talking about the same thing. You're talking about two completely separate things.
No,
I'm
sorry, you made a great point, but I need to back that up for a second. Like you were like, look, if just because I could be a great bartender, which I was at one point in time, doesn't mean I could go back and like make a great souffle and fucking cook like steak to like perfection and like put out lobster because I worked in a restaurant industry. That don't mean shit, dude. Right?
It's two entirely different skill sets. Yep. And there is carryover. I'm not trying to pretend like there's not, but the same way, if you were a bartender for 15 years in a high-end restaurant, you're probably going to pick up a thing or two in the kitchen. Like you're in the restaurant all day long.
Sure, but
you know what I mean? But it doesn't mean that you can go and run your own Saturday night and restaurant. You know what I mean? That's just not the case. So it's a silly thing for people to say, and it's just one of those things that just when you hear it, it makes you think like they're forcing this issue down our throats because they want to fucking divide people and all this other bullshit that we talk about here and there on the podcast. But it's stuff like that just fucking bothers me.
You said the narrative though.
Second, that divide that the country likes to draw up, they love doing distractions and divides, is a great topic for the Mix It Up. Just going to preview that one real quick. I there, Mike, I'm going to throw you a quick little plug there.
It's definitely going to be a narrative.
It's very funny when you hear about things going on with like Ukraine and Russia and all the troops and all this bullshit. Meanwhile, you hear the Ukrainian president coming out and being like, yeah, no, this shit happens every couple of years with them. They're not doing nothing. They throw this divide into the country just to like publicize it, to be a distraction. And that's all this shit is. People got to start realizing this divide that they try to throw because race is always a hot topic. It's always front page news. It's a hot topic in the sense that it can always sell newspapers. It's just sad. All right. And I hate having to say that, but that's what the reality is. These newspapers don't give a shit. These media outlets don't give a shit. They want to fucking get publicity. They want to get Oscars or Pulitzer prizes, and they want to sell newspapers. That's all this shit is about. People need to realize that race don't fucking mean nothing. They make it make something.
Jules, I listened to Joy Taylor on like The Herd when Colin was off, like when I watched that show like every day. And she went on there when he was off and she like led the whole show. And she opened up with like just calling the Giants snarky, saying you have a history of not hiring any head coaches of Black descent. That's your history. That's who you are. I mean, she was just like really like, I mean, I felt like really like disgusted by it. Like I was irritated. I was disgusted. I'm like, how dare you talk about a Giants organization, which like, keep in mind, hired a Black GM, which was one of 3 Black GMs at the time. And they kept him for how many years until he fucking shit the bed and he fucking cost us fucking team a decade. And, like, it was like, we hired him, but you don't bring that up. You just want to bring up all the other shit that fits your fucking narrative, Joy Taylor, right? You come up saying they're snarky, they have a bad history. Shut the fuck up. Like, I felt so disgusted by it. Like, I'm like, I tweeted out, I was like, I shut the show off. I couldn't fucking watch it because I understand she was pushing her fucking narrative about her culture, because if she says anything opposite, all of a sudden she's going to be like, in the Black community, she'll be called like, if she was a guy, she'd be called like an Uncle Tom. If she just speak the truth. You don't have to stick up for your race blindly. I don't stick up for my race blindly. I just want the best people for the best fucking job. That's it. That's fucking it. Stop with the fucking, like, stop looking at what people look like. Just focus on like what they could do for your fucking organization. Okay, that's it. That's all we want. That's all we want as fans. We don't want any other bullshit. We want a team that wins. We want a team that like doesn't fucking go out and fucking shoot people or be Kamara and go out and fucking get into fucking bar fights and fucking kill
We're gonna go there
fucking,
too
you know,
now.
beat everybody up. Like, we don't want those kind of people in our organization. And the Giants, I tell you, they might hire people wrong at times, obviously with the coaches, but we try to keep a fucking good organization where people aren't assholes. And you should fucking acknowledge that, Joy Taylor. Stop being a cunt.
And not only that, you had Tiki Barber speaking out publicly about Wellington Mara and his
Tiki
and everything that he did. I mean, come on, bro. Like, that dude has a big voice now, and he's got a great show on the Fan. Like, bro, guys like that ain't speaking out if there's some like hidden agenda here with the Giants. Like, that's right. Like, there's been enough people that spoke out about it, and that's why I think this thing went to rest. And the whole reason why I was passionate about this was because, yes, the Rooney Rule is broken. In my opinion, the Rooney Rule does not work because you're forced to interview someone, meaning knowing that you're probably not going to hire this guy, not because of his race, not because of the way he looks, just because you found someone that you feel is a better fit for your team. And that's it. Listen, that's what happens when you go looking for jobs. What am I supposed to sit around and be like, oh, because I have an Italian sounding last name and, you know, I'm white and I'm middle-aged, that I can't get a job. And that's why they're passing me over because they're looking for some young guy that's 20-something years old. Yeah. Like, dude, I can make up, anybody could draw a narrative, like you said, Mike, and make it fit what's going on in their life and be like, oh my God, this is the reason why I can't do this and this reason. Like, bro, stop. Unless you see, like I said, and that's why I went back, and I just wanted to reiterate that one more time. Unless you could sit there and tell me that there's a number of minorities that are being discriminated against in these opportunities to be these intern coaches straight out of college, or while they're in college. I think you might even be able to do it as a senior or whatnot. And if they can't, if there's some discrimination going on there, whether it be, you know, working at one of these big major college schools or, you know, in the NFL, then that's your problem. And go after that. Because guess what? If you start putting more younger guys or even girls in this matter that are in their early 20s and they want to go directly into coaching, guess what? Now you're going to have more coaches in the NFL eventually, or in college and everything else. And that's what that was the point I wanted to drive home. I literally got inspired because I got into it promoting the podcast in an Uber on my ride down around here going out on a Friday night. And I just went on this rant. My buddy was looking at me and he was like, are you gonna? Yeah, I'm gonna say this on Tuesday. I was like 100%, bro. That's what's coming from the heart.
I think we all agree. Fuck Brian Flores for fucking pushing that bullshit narrative that the Giants didn't want to hire you when Mara actually called you. If it was up to Mara and not the GM, you would have been the head coach of the Giants. So just shut the fuck up. But listen, Kamara, man, like, what did he do like in Vegas after the fucking Pro Bowl? He just decided to beat the shit out of somebody? What the fuck?
Answer me this, though. Answer me this one. Like, I'm gonna like kind of throw you back with a quick other question. Let's spin this for a second. What's going on in Vegas? Like, are they putting something in the water of these NFL players? Like, yo, there's been more incidences that have been off the wall in the fucking city of Vegas. Maybe, right? Like, here we go, right? Like, here's it told you. So there's some older guys out there, right? I know they're probably listening to this show, you know. I'm not gonna like name an age group, but they're definitely older gentlemen, right? Or older ladies, right? And they're sitting back like, you know, for years they never wanted to put a franchise out in Vegas.
I get it.
And now you put a franchise out in Vegas, and you got a guy up on like manslaughter. You got another dude who almost beat someone to death. You got another guy in jail for this. And it's like, oh, maybe putting the NFL in Vegas in general was a bad idea. I don't know. But yeah, yo, guys, I know, John, I know you were talking about it earlier. Man, yo, that dude is fucked up, bro. Like, yo, he got his ass kicked. And if Kamara was in on that, listen, I don't care if Kamara instigated it or Kamara just threw a punch or a kick. What the fuck are you doing, Kamara? First of all, you're a superstar in the NFL, and you get yourself in a beat-down situation where you beat the shit out of somebody in Vegas after the Pro Bowl at about like 6 o'clock in the evening. Like, what the fuck are you doing? I don't know, John.
You fucked him up. It's, bro. I mean, I guess it's easy to say because we have the benefit of, you know, hindsight. We have the benefit of, you know, a cool head, and maybe just in the moment you got somebody egging you on. You know, shit goes down. I guess it happens. And I guess when you're in the public eye a lot, you're going to get poked and prodded a lot more.
Maybe.
You're an NFL player, you know, you're going to be a wound up fucking, like, you know, you got to basically be a demon on the football field to be a good football player. So I'm sure at some point it's going to take, you know, willpower to kind of combat that in certain situations. And Like I said, we have the benefit of sitting here, a cool head behind a microphone, but
True.
to beat somebody to that extent, I mean, the dude's face was fucked up. Right, looking onto a legit fucking scrap.
Dude.
That wasn't a punch.
It's
in
not
the
like he got a
eye,
little black
knocked
eye.
all down.
Like, yo, this dude got fucking housed.
He got rocked like 5-6 times in the face, and then whatever else. Just from the one picture that I saw, you can see that he took a fucking whooping.
His face was like swollen.
Yeah, it was bad. And I wonder, like, in the moment, if like he has that like just kind of clear thought of like, oh fuck, like, and then just like pulls back, or like just says fuck it, I already did it, I'm just gonna fuck this guy up and just get it all out in fucking one shot. I don't and you hate to laugh because the guy looked like he was an older dude, like gray hair and stuff it looked like. But I mean, how you not gonna get in trouble for that? You know what I mean? Like, you're gonna be spending
he's going to prison. He's going to prison, no doubt.
I definitely watch too many mob movies, and I do too much history on this nonsense just because I grew up in neighborhoods with all these characters there in the past. But like, I almost feel like these players should have like a consigliere, right? That's available. And for those of you who don't know what a consigliere is, it's supposed to be the cool-headed guy that's a part of the operation that can actually make a decision that be rational versus not, right? So he's not too aggressive, he's not too passive. But I think they almost should, right? Because listen, if I had that kind of money, I'd have like some detailed security dudes that are armed to the T. And like, if someone comes at me, they're going to take care of them, right? And that's my protection aspect of me being like an athlete or even like just a star in general. I got this kind of money, I can afford this. And then especially these dudes, they got some boys that are bangers. They ain't no doubt in their mind. And bro, if you got to kick the living shit out of somebody with fists, you just beat somebody up and throw them a beating, you hire some boys and be like, look, you might have to do some jail time. You might have to go to jail for a year or two, but I'm gonna take care of your family. I got you, all right?
Jules, punch him once or twice, but not fucking like
that. Especially, bro, the guy was like fucking old.
I didn't say kill the guy.
Right.
Like he wasn't a 20-year-old dude where he was like putting up probably much of a fight. He probably got cracked twice and that was it. It was over. And he just fucking stood on top of him.
Smack him around a little bit. You throw him a shot or two. He keeps talking. You hit him in the ribs.
He was letting out some demons, bro.
You beat him up a little bit. Like, listen, asshole.
In Vegas.
And then that's it. You're this celebrity. You shouldn't get your hands dirty. You don't need to get your hands dirty. The Aaron Hernandez is these sick minds of these individuals.
I'm not drafting that guy.
Go that far behind. You know what I'm saying? Like, come on, man. Like, I know I'm trying to bring a little humor into it, a little mob lore into it, and all that kind of nonsense. But it's kind of a reality. If I was that kind of celebrity and I had that kind of money, I promise you, I would be rolling with an entourage like that. And then there'd be guys that were like, could go fish with me, could go do this.
Listen, that's why I kind of thought, like, when the Saints head coaching job was open, I thought Bieniemy would be a perfect fit now for Kamara. I mean, they both love to assault people from what I hear. So God, that'd be fantastic. But anyway, moving on from that fucking.
We do have
shit.
The Super Bowl is coming Sunday. It's here. The biggest game in the NFL.
I want to hear who you guys want to win, and also who do you think is going to win.
That's fair, John. You want to start this one off? I think John should lead off on this conversation tonight.
Yeah, for me, it's pretty simple. I want to root against Odell winning a ring.
I knew that was coming.
I figured that's where you were going to go with this.
At the same time, though, like, not that I was ever really a fan of Matt Stafford, but it is a pretty cool story, and I like the Hollywood feel of Matt Stafford kind of leaving the Detroit Lions and then, going to the Rams and winning.
Going to LA, right? LA.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. It's a pretty cool story. And it's something that they'll like. That's like a thing that, like, if he does nothing else in his career, that's like they'll make a movie about that type of deal. Like it's
his
a pretty
wife,
cool thing.
His wife, what she went through,
cancer and all that battle. Like,
so
the huge hug. I'm sorry, listen, I just got to throw that in real quick. Remember the huge hug after he won the NFC Championship game? That he didn't expect it. Matthew Stafford wasn't even sure that any players or coaches or family members, family members or players or coaches would be allowed to run on the field. So when he turned around and saw his wife run up and give him this huge hug, it surprised him. It kind of melted his heart. Like, it's a kind of a feel-good moment right there in that aspect of things. Besides,
that's sick. That's like Hollywood stuff. So,
hell yeah.
That's that point. I like the Rams to win, but at the same time, if I could pick the winner now, I definitely pick Cincinnati without blinking. Like, I don't mind Joe Burrow. Fuck Joe Burrow. I don't mind Joe Burrow.
He's a stud.
But Cincinnati, I mean, they're not a threat to the Giants kind of legacy. Like I like the idea of the Giants being one of the premier franchises as far as like championships won, Lombardi's kind of hoisted. So as far away as we can keep everybody else, I think Cincinnati's only been to the Super Bowl once or twice and never won it.
Get San Francisco.
Yeah, so I mean that's from that standpoint, if they win a Super Bowl, it doesn't really hurt the Giants' legacy in any way. So that's kind of my motivation there. But if the Rams do win, I'll be like, damn, I can't believe Odell got a ring.
I can see that.
It's up to you, bro. You want me to close, or you want to go? I don't care. I go now too. Listen, I'll tell you that these yacht modes. If you're ever in Jupiter, Florida, stop at Civil Society and get the yacht mode IPA because man, they are delicious.
Man,
Jules has got an undercover fucking advertising box from them at some point.
For real, are you working for them now in fucking Florida? That's why you've been there for like a month.
He's standing up on the camera right now.
I'm at the brewery. I'm fucking making beer.
For real, he's been there like a month already. I'm like, Christ, like I don't think he's ever fucking coming back to Brooklyn. Go ahead, Jules. Who do you like and who do you want?
So, that's a great question actually, because I'm going to start with who I want, right? And then I'll work to who I like. Right, because then we're talking more from the betting perspective. Then we're gonna talk about our odds and what we're gonna do, right?
Yep.
But like who I want, believe it or not, fuck the Bengals. I like their feel-good story, but at the same time, there's a lot of friends and people and family and people I know very, very well that I'm gonna have to talk shit about the Bills because guess what, assholes? That was supposed to be you. Josh Allen and the Buffalo Bills and Bills Mafia are supposed to be in this Super Bowl. Okay, that's what the team is supposed to be on the AFC. And then we'd be talking about a completely different subject. I'd be all in on the Bills. I'd be trying to win like a lot of money because I would be tripling down on everything. Right. Yeah. With that said, I still kind of feel the Rams. I'm feeling Stafford. I like McVay. All right. It is a good story there. And in a weird way, I know what you said last week to me, Mike, about how Odell is only good when he's winning. You know what? Fuck it. Let the dude win. I hated him. I just thought he was a distraction. I didn't like him on my team. I didn't think he was a team player. You know what? And maybe it's just a mirage in the way that he went up and hugged Deebo Samuel on the sidelines this past, last 2 weeks ago or whatnot. But dude, if the guy changed.
Nah, he's gay like that. That was no mirage.
I just say, if the guy did change and he really is, sort of like matured, then that's what I would want to see for Odell. Look, it could be bullshit. It could just be like, just fucking like, just a figment of our imagination in a way where we're just like kind of like creating our own narrative. But if that is the case, and then seeing like a guy like Cam Akers work his ass off and come back, Von Miller coming over from Denver, all these things are in place. Darnold being one of the best defensive players in the league, and he hasn't won a chip yet. Yeah, man, I'm behind this team. I hate the fact that it's LA and like their fan base is kind of whack right now. Let's be real. The LA Ram base.
It's not a real team. It's not a real fan base.
Bro, Leonardo DiCaprio's hanging out, drinking beers. Like, it's fucking terrible. All right. Their fan base is trash. Any Rams fucking fans want to come at me, bro. Please. All right. Make sure you're from LA. But anyway, with all that said, I'm with them. Now, the teams that I like, dude, I'm flip-flopping on this one, man. That 4.5 point spread, that moving around bullshit with the Bengals. Can I see the Bengals making a game out of this? Yeah, they made a fucking game out of everything. They've been on this fucking run. You know what I'm saying? They beat KC twice in the last fucking 5 weeks. I mean, like, you know what I'm saying?
That's what I think's gonna happen.
You can't sleep on this team. So, like, from that perspective, and a betting perspective, I almost like them. But the fact that I feel that I'm getting drawn to liking them is why that I gotta go Rams. And again, I'm all in on the Rams. I've been on the Rams from about week 2. I thought it was good, week 2 of this playoff run after the wild card week. I've been all Rams because I said if they got by Arizona, they were going to probably end up in the Super Bowl. I thought it was going to be Rams Bills, and because it's the Bengals, and I hate to say this because I hate the fact that, people said this about Marino a million years ago, where they said, oh, he's young, he's in his rookie season, he'll be back, and then he never got back. I don't think Burrow is the same. I don't think this NFL is the same of what Marino's ever was. So therefore, I do see Burrow having another opportunity at some point in his career, if not eventually. He's got a tough road, man. There's a lot of competition with Herbert and Allen and Mahomes and all these great quarterbacks in the AFC. That it's going to be tough for him to get back. I get that. And this could be his one shot. But at the same time, with that offensive line and the defensive line of the Rams, bro, if they don't win this, McVay goes back for a second time in the last 4 or 5 years, and he's only 36 years old. Like, people are gonna start questioning him. He can't win the big game. You know, McVay will be like the Aaron Rodgers of coaching. You know what I'm saying? He's got to go in and make his claim today. This is a bigger game for him than it is for anything else. This is one of his disciples that he's going against across that sideline in Cincinnati. Like, the pressure's on. Not, I want to say the pressure's on the Rams, but like, the Rams are the team that should come out with this Super Bowl victory. And I got to believe in that. I think the narrative is there. I think everyone wants to say it. I told you about that interview that I heard last week. I'm going Rams, man. I'm all in on the Rams.
I think you're right, Jules, about that. I think that what's going to happen is it's going to play out for the Bengals a lot like the last few games that they have got down early. We're able to battle back in the second half. I just think that this week the Rams defense is going to just do enough to stop them short, and unfortunately see fucking Odell Beckham crying on the fucking sidelines that they want to ring.
Well, I think like I did say on this podcast before the season started, I'm like, if the Giants don't make it to the Super Bowl, the Rams are, and they're gonna win it. Because once they got Matthew Stafford, I'm like, that's all they need, because Goff like kind of held them back. So I want the Rams to win, and I think the Rams gonna win. So I'm gonna double down on that. But in reality, I just want one of my Super Bowl boxes to hit so I can win some fucking money. That's what I'm more concerned about, and the actual fucking Rams winning the whole fucking thing. But I tell you,
I agree with you there, buddy. I agree with you there.
I just want that cash, but like, I can see the Rams just fucking winning, man. They got a good team. The Bengals offensive line is going to be in trouble from the get-go with the Rams defensive front. They have nobody. The Bengals have nobody to block Aaron Donald. He's going to have a fucking field day. Joe Burrow has been absolutely amazing. I know he gets a lot of shit for the Bengals offensive line being terrible. They're not that terrible in the, maybe in the pass blocking. Yeah, sure. It's a liability, but they run block pretty well. And, they give Mixon some fucking holes that he can run through. So it's not as bad as people make it out to be. And they think Burrow's just that amazing. I mean, Burrow is amazing. He's a great quarterback, but I see it, to be honest, I don't see a close game. I think the Rams blow them out, and they pretty much have this game, wrapped up, even before like the second half begins. So that's it, man. Going with the Rams, man. And listen, if you guys are on the Caesars app, you could actually bet what number you think is going to happen. They have some crazy lines where they have the Rams. I bet this Rams 5 since he won. So I'm thinking like a 35-21 game. That would get you, for every $100 you bet on that number to come out in the Super Bowl box for the final, $100 gets you $30,000. Okay, so go fucking bet that, man. You never fucking know.
How many hundreds are we in now, Mike?
I might have bet a couple $100 on that, because I want to win a new Jeep, and a new Jeep is like 70 grand these days. So listen, man, it's up there, man. Like, come on, Caesar's that, man. Fucking go for it, man.
And you also
make that money.
You also have a nice little payday from a couple of weeks back. So you know what I'm saying? Like, I know you got some.
It's free money. It's free money right now. You know what I mean? So like,
$400 on a crazy bet like that is like chump change at this point.
It's nothing. It's really nothing when you're up big. But listen, before we go, Jules, I just got to make a shout out, like, real quick. I know we got to, for play action pools, we got to decide what us three are going to do all fair for the Super Bowl.
But but I think we kind of dropped some very
we might have, yeah. I think, but you never know. We're gonna bet the money line, or we're gonna bet the points, or we're gonna bet the over, the under. So like, we gotta think about. We got Rob's in the league. He's at 12,000 right now. Then King Glue's at 9. We're like at 8,700. Then like a couple other guys like CM and Nancy's like at 3,000. So we're gonna have to bet. Maybe we bet hard, maybe we bet just a little, depending on what Rob does. We never know. We don't know what's going to happen. So we have that going on. We'll discuss that real quick when we got all fair. But right before we go, I just want to make a shout out.
Maybe I'll release a quick little Jules short bid like I did earlier in the week. I don't know if anybody caught that when I was live on the beach talking about
do that.
Might drop one of those on Sunday morning. Just let you know.
So that's coming this week up until the Super Bowl. But shout out to a country that just made, or I guess a country, Nepal just made the list of who's listening to the podcast. So Nepal is a country, right? Or is it a city in America? I don't know. but Nepal made the
Could
list.
be a city, but like.
So I mean, it's up there. So Nepal, Israel, United Kingdom, India, and of course the United States all listen. So thank you for listening. And with that, Jules, I'll leave it up to you to close out the show.
Oh, listen, man, let go, yo, and I said earlier, I think it'd be good that we do our picks off air. But we did develop, or I started, I kicked it off this past week. If you haven't caught it, we did one of these called little shout out segments where, you know, if we think that something's going on between the Tuesdays, from this Tuesday to next Tuesday, that should be addressed and brought out there. All of us, you're going to catch us. We're going to start doing these quick little segments called a shout out, where we just go, it might be 2 minutes, it might be 10 minutes. And it's just going to be us just speaking about like something that happened that we weren't expecting. And we'd like to get it off our chest before next Tuesday. And you can catch me on one. I got a great, it was a decent background, right? You know, you saw a little beach, the waves crashing. I thought it was a perfect fitting for where I did mine. So definitely go check it. It's on Spotify, it's on YouTube, it's on all the places that you catch us, on iHeart and and Apple and all that kind of good stuff. But definitely look for more shout outs from us. I like the fact that we definitely hinted to what we're going to do for Super Bowl, but you don't know what we're doing. So if you're in that contest, and there's a lot of bets, man. Bro, Caesars is offering some crazy one where it's like, you do 10 of those prop bets, you win 7, they're going to give you like a free $60 bet. Like, yo, it's going to be, and that's just now. It's only Tuesday. Like, as the week progresses, you know they're going to keep putting things out there. They're going to keep promoting. Come to my site, come to this site, site. So it should be fun. It's the Super Bowl. It's everything that we look for when it comes to the football and the NFL, right? It's the mecca of sports, well, at least for the NFL, right? And here we are. We're a few days away. It should be fun. We got a great matchup. People think the Bengals can win. People think the Rams can win. It should be a good game. I know where you know where our opinion lies. You know where our hearts lie. So hopefully it's going to be fun. I think it'll be great. It should be a good one. Buckle up. Watch the Super Bowl. Halftime show should be dope too, with Dr. Dre and all them dudes coming through. So it's going to be a good one. We're going to leave you at that. Look out for the shout outs. Definitely check in on next week's episode, because we're going to have a whole recap and all this other nonsense going on. But for now, we will leave you with another episode of the BBO podcast. All right. We are out. We're done. Man, these beers are good. I'll see you later.